'Cause I never leave you, never leave you. Never leave you. No, 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 no. And it's the first time that you ask. It's the first time that I drink your wine. Got it easy. It's the first time that you like ginger sweet water. Wash away my pain and sorrow. Purify my soul. I said, cool water, gentle, sweet, cool water. Wash away my pain and sorrow. Purify my soul. Ancient ancestors buried at the bottom of the ocean, I have not forgotten you. Beautiful black mothers who drown their only baby, I have not forgotten you. Strong black fathers who would rather die than live as slaves, I have not forgotten you. Gentle, sweet, cool water, wash away my pain and sorrow, purify my soul. All systems go. Focus throttle up. Commencing final countdown. Ignition liftoff.
I'm a native African, bringing in a way of appreciation. Discover this way, out of my mouth, out of my sins. Feel underground, radiate your mind, while echoing the sounds of our ancestors. Ancestry in progress.
Beautiful liftoff. Beautiful. All systems green.
Good evening. You're in tune to the meeting of the Inner Circle, and this is Adama thanking you for being right where you are in this now moment of eternity. At the top of the hour, I started out with Lauryn Hill's War in the Mind, followed by Stephen Marley, Junior Reed, and Dead Prez in Babylon, Sample the Greats, Energy, Armageddon by Stress Relief International, Us, Ma'at, Are You Serious Enough by Chakia Ma'at. I met instead, I'm sorry. And then Right on Time by Stress Relief International. And then Linda Jones, Thomas, Cool Water. And the intro to Ancestry.com, Ancestry in Progress by Zap Mama. For those of you who tune in into the meeting of the Inner Circle for the very first time, I welcome you and pray that you find the inspiration to meet me here every Thursday night, midnight to 3 a.m. For those of you who tune in via the World Wide Web at wrfg.org, thank you for caring to be with me right here than any other place on the planet. And for those of you who are the inner circle, the ones who make sure that you're always attuned to this frequency at this appointed time, I am always in prayer that you are always receiving more inspiration to be ever more intensely intentional in your clearing, cleansing, purifying, consecrating, standing in the light of the truth of the ones that we each are, as these living, loving, intelligent, potent, and immortal points of this absolute and supreme intelligence, because there has been an agenda and an attempt to make sure that we are calling ourselves every other thing than these points of the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence that is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. We are in a place where we have been divided and conquered within ourselves. And there are those ones who are always speaking about the enemy, without realizing it's the pork, the beef, the chicken, the fish, the alcohol, the tobacco, the sugar, and all of this garbage that is permeating and penetrating in every atom and every cell of our being since we were children. So the enemy in you is causing the inner you to be out of alignment with the truth of the divinity of who and what you actually are as this living, intelligent, potent, immortal point of the presence of God. And so our having an understanding and a realization of what the issues actually are that has crystallized in your tissues as artificial colors and artificial flavors, from the Doritos, the Takis, and all of the Blue Lake dyes and the garbage, just freaking garbage that is so available to us. And that we don't complain, we're not offended, we continue to invest in sickness, illness, disease, and death, participating as freaking cash cows in multi-trillion-dollar business of sickness, illness, disease, and death. Why? Why is multi-trillion-dollar business in sickness, illness, disease, death, depression, pharmacology, rape, violation, pornography, pedophilia, all of this degradation? And so our time to realize what Babylon actually is, what the sickness, illness, and disease of a wicked people who promote sickness, illness, and disease as profit, and then you work for these people. And so I am very pleased to be the one who consciously cares to speak and address our responsibility to no longer participate in our own demise. I'm grateful to be voice on behalf of all orders of existence, and to know that all orders of existence have the right to their lives, that to have a food industry that employs people in the daily activity of killing, bastardizing, poisoning, usurping the right of these beings to have the right to their lives. And then 90% of all of the antibiotics are used on those animals because of how much infection they have before they are slaughtered and then fed to you all as food. And we see the cancer, the heart disease, the schizophrenia, the bipolarism, all of the disease that is in the people as a result of eating the diseased flesh of other beings. And people want you to think that, oh, this is good eating. You got to have your protein. I'm saying these people are freaking liars. That your body is perfectly and divinely designed by the same intelligence that blazes the sun and has the earth spinning. And as a result of our participation in undermining ourselves, in our participation in our own degradation, our participation in our own adulteration, our participation in maintaining and sustaining a system of oppression, well, we can think a different thought. We can do a different thing. We can flip the script. We can change our minds. Because we're being called to rise. With each and every breath and every beat of our hearts, we are already immersed in the divinity and the sanctity and the sacredness of existence itself. And there isn't anything that we can be given, that we can work for, beg, borrow, steal, be awarded or rewarded that is greater than who and what we already are but naked. But to come to a point and place where we are filled to overflowing with the rot of pigs and cows and turkeys and chicken and alcohol and tobacco and sugar and white flour, the white paste. Flour and water make paste. So that's your pancakes, your waffles, your breads, your biscuits, your bagels, your pretzels, your noodles, all of this paste that is now holding on to the nitrates, nitrites, BHA, BHT, pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, hormones, all of these chemicals. And this is what is the foundation of the cancer, that they never tell you where the cancer is emanating from. And so our responsibility, particularly as the wombed men, and for those wombed men who are now wombless, our duty, obligation, and responsibility is to still understand how to be the perpetuators, the nourishers and nurturers, and the insurers of the progression of our lineages. But that's not what we got in our education. That's not what we're getting in our religious indoctrination. That's not what we get from a death culture. We've been miseducated, licensed, certified, and degreed to be in a place and space where we maintain the system of miseducation, where we are literally dumping toxins into our children. We are putting them in a place where they are on a cellular DNA lockdown because of all of the hot pockets and all of the processed cheese and meats and milk and garbage that they're being fed in the public school system to make sure that they're anesthetized, inebriated, intoxicated, because that bread turns into fermented garbage in the system and affects the liver as if they were drinking as children. And so I am the one to bring us to another degree of care to really understand what we have the opportunity to do in flipping this script, in coming to a point in our own personal lives where we are personally committed to doing that which is in the exaltation of life, doing that which is in the best interest of everything and everybody, because everything and everybody is the evidence of the gift and the blessedness of being. No one is without it. Everybody is it. Everyone has it. You don't have to beat anybody else and take theirs, because everybody is gifted with the breath of life, with the divinity of existence, with the duty, obligation, and responsibility to ensure the perpetuation, the exaltation, and the continuation of the lineages through whom we've come. But we do not get support from the miseducational systems, from the religious system. We do not get the support in having a true understanding as to what purpose in being on the planet actually is. So we're just humans having a spiritual experience, or spirits having a human experience. And to be human means to be fallible. To be human means to be sinful. To be human means that you cannot expect perfection. To be human means that you have to acquiesce and bow down and do whatever they say do, because it's their system. So we work the system without honoring the laws that govern our own lives. And there is a law that governs our lives, and we're having to learn how to utilize it. And we get upset about the money. We get upset about a few dollars here, but we're not upset about the issues that are crystallizing in your tissues as a result of the misappropriation of the money that you've been given to undermine your life currency. But you want to have your right to undermine your life currency. You think that's your freedom. That's your free will. That's your behavior modification because nothing, no other order of intelligence undermines itself. That is the evidence of the impact and the effect of all of the chemicals that are assaulting us. And so we're in a place and space where we don't have the time. We do not have the time to placate. We don't have the time to be in a place where we continue to do all of that which we've already done, seeing the conditions that it creates for ourselves. Seeing the conditions that it created for our mothers and our fathers and our aunties and our grandfathers and our grandmothers, and seeing how they passed away, seeing how they deteriorated, seeing how the cancer ate them up, seeing how the radiation and the chemo and all of the pharmaceuticals and how they were losing their capacity for remembering and thinking, seeing the impact and the effect of the children blowing up, seeing the impact and the effect of women who don't know how to really care for themselves or anyone else. And so this programming is not about just making us feel good about being the one. It's holding us to some degree of accountability and responsibility for not participating in undermining ourselves with the flesh of dead animals and the aborted fetuses of chickens and the pus and mucus of cows and artificial colors and flavors and this and that and the other. And I am in the stores and I'm seeing the things that people are shopping for and what they're buying and how they're looking and how they're dressing and how we are in a place and space where the accumulation of all of the 150 some chemicals that are in the cigarettes have colored the whites of the eyes and swelling the eyes and just putting us in a position where our young men are already so freaking toxic that if they can have children, they will never, ever be right examples for their children because of where they already are in the progression of death on the path of adulteration. So this is a wake-up call. This is our coming to a point where we realize that in this now moment, at the turn of our vernal equinox in the spring and the resurrecting time, is that, yeah, we have to let go of stuff and to really come to a point of consistency in realizing the depth of the cleansing that needs to happen in order for you to reverse the high blood pressure, in order for you to lose the weight, in order for you to really ensure that the rest of your life is the best of your life, in order to really be in a place and space where you are uncompromisable with the forces of illness and sickness and disease and doctors and surgeons and pharmaceuticals and all of these ones who are literally robbing you of your life force. These people are not healing you. If the trauma centers were healing centers, then perhaps it would be a better thing. But the fact that they cannot open the windows to give you fresh air, the fact that you have no plants in the room, the fact that you have nowhere to really immerse your body in mineral-rich waters to help cleanse, the fact that they don't give you anything to really cleanse your colon and your bowel, the fact that they continue to feed you the same garbage that made you sick. And then understand that there's a whole nother degree of responsibility to those of us who care to know, those of us who care to heal. We have to come to a whole nother place in terms of our fiscal responsibility, in terms of how we utilize our resources, in terms of our connecting with and working with each other to create what needs to come into existence in order to facilitate the healing of our children, in order to facilitate our marriages, in order to facilitate our growth, in order to ensure that each generation is becoming more potent, more perfected in the light of the truth of who and whose they actually are. But if you won't choose to clear yourself, if you won't choose to cleanse yourself, if you won't choose to exert and exalt a full effort in your living, then there's no way that you can possibly participate in the emergence of the queendoms and kingdoms of God. And that is the real success here. And no matter what you think of me, there is one absolute supreme intelligence that beats all of our hearts, breathes us, has the earth in rotation and flotation, blazes the sun, and is the order and the orchestration of not only this universe, but the infinitude of universes that exist within the context of the cosmic, which is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. And I'm grateful to remind us that we can never be outside of it, but to be harmonized with it, then we can't be killing ourselves and be happy about it. We cannot be anesthetizing, inebriating, intoxicating, and acting as if you have the right to be wrong. You have the right to kill yourself. You have the right to be in whatever stupor you care to exist in when you are in an ocean of nothing but cosmic consciousness and the currencies of abundant life that we can choose to bathe in. We can choose to dwell in the rainbow. We can choose to be free from sickness, illness, and disease, and despair, and depression, and violation, and subjugation, and domination, and all. We can choose to be chosen, to accept the duties, obligations, and the responsibilities in being refined, redefined, cultivated, elevated, consecrated, edified, bona fide, as these points of the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence that we refer to as God. Everything happens in the spirit first. Everything happens in the mind first. Everything happens in our consciousness first. And if you feel like you ain't nothing, if you feel like you can't, if you feel like you won't, if you feel like it's too hard, if you feel like you're unworthy, if you feel like you're undeserving, then you are not able to walk in the integrity of the deservedness and that which is yours by divine right. So I'm saying, yes, let us remember that we are these points of the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence that is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. We are children of eternity. We should not be here dying. We should not be here participating in a system of oppression. We should not be in a place and space where we're feeding our children the cancerous tumors of chickens called chicken nuggets and all of this garbage and the Hot Pockets and the cheese and all of these animal products and whatnot, and they don't even have all of their teeth yet. That you refuse to give them the breast. And that you're trying to find anything on the shelf that can nourish your babies, and it can't. So will the real women raise up? See, we want to be respected as women. We want to be honored as women, but we ain't walking like real women. We walking like cows and pigs and turkeys and chicken. All of the stuff that's been permeating those tissues for all of this time. You can see it in the streets. I'm just saying. We're in a place and space where we have to realize that this is not a pretty place because of the consciousness of the people, but the consciousness of the people can shift and change by virtue of the resubstantiation of the quality of the blood. And that's why we've always heard that salvation comes through the blood of Christ. Salvation comes through clearing and cleansing and purifying your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit, your bloodstream, your lymph, your cellular, intracellular fluids, and all of that which constitutes your inner self, so that you are no longer the enemy of yourself. You are no longer dwelling in the doubt and the fear and the disgruntledness and the complaining and all of that which we do. All the fussing and all the cussing and all of that irritability and all of that. You cannot not create disease when you are in a consistent state of dis-ease. Continuous dis-ease lays foundation for disease. The ease comes with the peace, and the peace comes with accomplished love, and the love is the realization of how blessed you absolutely already are with each and every breath and every beat of your heart. The realization of how blessed you already are by virtue of the fact that you have triumphed over situations and circumstances. You have been saved many times from many things, and the first salvation came from our being able to survive our parents, because the parents were the first degrees of violation against us, because of the pork, the beef, the chicken, the breakfast cereals, the pancakes, the waffles. Yeah, they did what they thought needed to be done, but we were following the script of a people who hate us, a people who perpetuate sickness, illness, and disease as popular and common activity, collective learning and education in the path of prosperity, a people who set up multinational corporations poisoning everything and everybody everywhere, and people work for these people, get their good paychecks, got their good jobs, living in gated communities, driving their nice cars, and they're creating the heart attacks and the strokes and the diabetes and the high blood pressure and the colon cancer and the breast cancer and all of that, because you literally are still held by absolute law that which you do on a daily basis in terms of how it is we expend our life currency and our life force is going to create its own consequences. And for those who may not realize that you're working on behalf of Coca-Cola, you're working on behalf of the corporate deities of death, you're working on behalf of the alcohol industries and the tobacco industries, and you're sowing those seeds daily into the production, the manufacturing, the distribution, the advertising of that which is toxic, that which is poison, that which is particularly being marketed to children, and then you think that your good job is profiting you when it's actually laying foundation for your own sickness, illness, and disease, because it's law. So yes, we have the opportunity to do what is ours to do in this now moment, which is to care. Care to be whole. Care to walk in the light of the truth of this absolute and supreme intelligence. Care to really raise completely up as some of the most dynamic spirits on the planet, on behalf of all of the ones who entertained us, on behalf of all of the ones who laid foundation with their ingenuity and their inventions, and all of these ones whose names we cannot even call, who have laid foundation for our having a greater direct connect to the light and the truth of the divinity and the sanctity of our own lives, and then we're not appreciative. And I'm saying, let's be grateful. Let's get thankful. Let's be mindful of our inheritance. Let's be mindful that each generation in the wheel of existence should become more dynamic than the previous one. Let's be mindful that there is greatness already in us. That our greatness is not by virtue of our pursuing a BA degree or BS degree or a master's degree or PhD or a Juris Doctor. That has nothing to do with your greatness. It is all about your programming to be able to maintain and sustain a system of oppression, because you were never fed that which liberates yourselves from all of the sludge that you were given from the time you were a youth. So yes, we can matriculate through the highest echelons of miseducation and be completely dysfunctional and still be called doctor, judge, police. Surgery, you could do anything and still be completely toxic. So our time to realize the dysfunction of this system, the oppressive nature of the system, to be in a place where we are separating ourselves from having been permeated and penetrated and poisoned by the system of oppression, by our clearing, our cleansing, our consecration, our purification, our renewal, our rebirth, our coming into the cosmic flow of the currency of abundant love, light, wisdom, truth, peace, poise, power, potency, integrity, high ethic, morality, sensibility, care, courage, faith, trust, persistence, diligence, discipline, knowing, and walking in our own authenticity and authority and vivid self expression and self representation as these living, loving, intelligent, potent, immortal points of the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence that we refer to as God. On behalf of the lineages through whom we've come, on behalf of those who we didn't allow to come, those who've come through us, and those who've yet to come. Let us be the ones who flip this script, who shift this paradigm, who collapse the timelines so that we step into our greatness in our now moment, right here, right now. You're in tune to the meeting of the inner circle, and this is Adama, your voice of resurrection and heraldess of the eternal.
On 89.3 FM, WRFG. I hear no sound in my life. The place to know that elevates my mind and lets me move through time. I can
You know I can't just do 30 minutes, buddy, baby. Yeah, just let me know when. And of course, you want me to be in the studio with you, right? And I tried to reach you because I'm fundraising. And